Shi'ism, the Shia view that you have right now in your head, when the way that you see Shias right now, this was developed over time. Either because some of those who are Sunni, they diverted, they started doing other things. For example, they started folding hands, they took out Hayya ala khair al-amal from the adhan. Umar did that. He wanted the Muslims to go for jihad. He wanted to encourage them to go for jihad. So what did he told the muadhin, stop saying Hayya ala khair al-amal, so that they go for jihad. Because he believed that khair al-amal, the best of deeds, when we say Hayya ala khair al-amal, it means come to the best of deeds. He believed that the best of deeds, acts of worship, was what? Was jihad at that time. So he told him to take it out of Hayya ala khair al-amal. As-salatu khayrun min an-nawm, saying prayers greater than sleep for the Fajr prayer. Was that something that was said during the time of the Prophet? No. In fact, we have a scholar, Sharaf ad-Din, Sayyid Abdul Hussein Sharaf ad-Din. He has a book by the name of An-Nas wal-Ijtihad. An-Nas wal-Ijtihad, meaning where there's a direct order and there's Ijtihad. There's what? Development, or there's your own ideas were inserted. You know,
fact versus opinion.
Fact versus opinion. Perfect. Fact versus opinion. So what he says is there are facts during the time of the Prophet, and then there were opinions that were added because this derailment of the ummah, it started, wrong people or different people came to power, and they started slowly adding changes to the religion of Islam. So now you have a very profound difference. During the time of the Prophet, there was no difference. Why did these differences emerge? Either because over time, Muslims, they started interpreting the Prophet's Sunnah through what? Through the perspective of the Sahaba rather than the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. So now all Muslims, those who say we are Sunni, what does Sunni mean? It means we are following the Sunnah of the Prophet, right? But they started following the Sunnah of Rasulullah, the traditions of the Prophet, in the perspective of the Sahaba. So for example, Ali ibn Abi Talib, Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says the Prophet used to pray with his hands down. Ali ibn Abi Talib, he says the Prophet used to say Hayya ala khair al-amal in his adhan. Ali ibn Abi Talib, he did not do Salat al-Taraweeh because the Prophet did not do Salat al-Taraweeh. Muslims, today, they say we are Sunni, those who are Sunni, but they are Sunni because they are taking the perspective of the school of the Sahaba, the companions. They say, we're not going to say Hayya ala khair al-amal because the Sahaba, they did not say, or they took out Hayya ala khair al-amal. We're going to start praying Salat al-Taraweeh because, they did that. So, this is one reason. And another very important reason is that today, in the Sunni school of thought, it's either pronounced in some of them, it's very clear in some, and in others it's not very clear. But the traditions of the Khulafa are added to the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. So the Sunnah of Abu Bakr and the Sunnah of Umar and the Sunnah of Uthman is included with the Sunnah of the Prophet. So their actions, for example, when Umar ibn al-Khattab, he went and he told people to start praying at the Taraweeh. The Taraweeh prayer, for some Muslims, even if they know for a certain fact that the Prophet did not pray Salat al-Taraweeh, right? But because the second Khalifa, he came and he added that, out of respect for the second Khalifa, they say this has become Sunnah now, right? So these are how the differences became so profound. But during the time of Rasulullah, as we said, there were Shia of Ali ibn Abi Talib. They were living amongst those who were not known to be Shia, but the differences were not that different. Over time, these differences developed. So history tells us that there were definitely Shias during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.